Hi, this is Chris with E3C, and I'm continuing our video series on the art of small business thriving by continuing to talk about Marjorie and her journey to make a business that is more what she had originally wanted to create. By using our principles of inside-out design to create something that is, yes, more profitable, but also more meaningful and more fulfilling. So in the last video, we talked about how she could get more in touch with her original vision and more clarity on what she really wanted. And in this next piece of recommendation that we have for her, the step is to focus on what's actually working with her and with her clients and see how those things intersect to help accelerate her vision. So let's get started. And again, if you want to follow along, click the subscribe button and the bell. So let's do a really quick recap of Marjorie's situation. She got into this business 12 years ago after getting her landscaping certificate with a dream to make these magical garden spaces, but it was kind of like a secret dream that she kept to herself and sort of trotted out when she felt confident, but nothing in the landscaping program taught her how to do this or how to design a deliberate business, and so she's kind of almost been a victim of her own success as a sort of generic landscaper, making low margins and hiring lots of people and not really having made the business she wanted to, and actually she feels trapped now by her own business. So let's take a look now at how focusing on the sparks of what's actually working now can help her move forward. When I was writing out today's recommendations, I realized there were actually three parts to it. Part one is see where you or your company are at your best. Part two of this piece is see where your clients and your customers are responding to you most. And then part three is see where those two things intersect and where they find resonance together. So let's look at the first bit first. Now, in most of the world, I think people look at work and business in a very one-dimensional way. It's all just work, and if you love it, that's nice. And if you hate it, that's too bad, or maybe you could get a better job somewhere. But we have a ton of indoctrination in the form of concepts like, that's why they call it work. Have you ever heard that one? Have you ever been shamed by that one? What if you just hated something and you just had to do it and do it and do it? And I think that's kind of awful. As much as anybody can avoid it, we should avoid that kind of work. But I think we're trained to put up with it. And not to get too far off the topic, but I believe this all starts way back in school. When you come home and say, Mommy, I hate doing this work, and Mommy does the best she can and says, just do it now, and you'll get a cookie. And we're taught to put off the things we love and sort of try to fit ourselves into a box. And I think everyone's often trying to fit ourselves into a box that doesn't really fit us, and it's to the detriment of the world. Now, hopefully, this has not so thoroughly happened to you that you've lost your spark, and it probably hasn't if you're watching this video, I hope. And my point is that I think there's a ton more energy when we feel sparked by something than when we're just doing it rote. And when people feel in the zone, they can be 5 times or 10 times or maybe even 100 times more effective than someone who's doing it rote. But I think the industrial society had really tried to put us into boxes that make us more interchangeable because that's good for machines and that's good for factories, but you are not interchangeable. And we want to encourage you to be more your unique self and find the economic value in that and the life satisfaction value in that too. Now, of course, for Marjorie, the place where she feels most happy and in her power and her competence is when she's making these magical garden spaces. So then the next part of this is see where your clients or customers are sparking and getting really excited about what you have and what you do. Now, as much as we love to just do what we love, of course, in business, everything is an exchange, and so there's an interplay between what you love and what other people want. And the optimal space to be in is one where you can have both, right? Now, let's take a look at this in the case of Marjorie. So she told everyone she knew that she wants to make these magical meditation garden spaces for people. And she mentions it to her clients off and on, kind of sheepishly. Now, what actually keeps happening is that a lot of her clients, or a decent minority of clients, are interested in having magical party spaces. Nobody seems to be interested in the meditation spaces right now. And one woman really wants to create a magical space for her 7-year-old daughter to hang out in, maybe with her friends. So no meditation spaces, but lots of sort of similar things. And so there might be some resonance there, but we've got to check, right? So anyway, the point here is to look at all the places where that vision you wrote down before is showing up in things that people like about your work. And I wanted to mention one last little thing here, which is that we often tend to think that the things that are hardest for us are the things that are most valuable, but often the things that we do the easiest as a business or as a person are things that people often like the most because they're our strengths. So take a look at your testimonials, take a look at the feedback you get from customers, and see where you might be missing certain things that are actually quite valuable to them that you're kind of ignoring or blowing off. And the last part of this stage of our process is see where those things intersect, the things that you love or spark as a business or as a person, and the things where your customers are really loving. So in the case of Marjorie, this is a good example because she actually, wants to make these meditation gardens for people. And they're wonderful spaces for quiet reflection. But she has all these clients that are saying they want party gardens. And so she has to look at her core vision and check in with herself and say, are those things close enough? Now, in the case of Marjorie, it turns out that they are. So actually, she looks and she says, well, these are both ways of helping people find peace and solace and comfort, and through the specialness of the spaces I can create and the fact that they're not meditation gardens that people are asking for doesn't mean it's not a manifestation of my vision of what I really want to do. But this is an important place to notice. And so you're kind of doing this detective work of getting more in tune with what your customers are really asking for and what you're really asking for, and finding the intersection points and using those to guide you in terms of creating where you really want the business to go. So how does this lead us all into action? Well, in Marjorie's case, it's all working out quite well. You see, that is, she's learning to tune in to the specific moments that she loves and seeing how it intersects with what her clients are asking for, and also learning to tune in more to her clients and be that detective as well. So let's talk about you. How could you implement this step in your own business? Why not get a little notebook or notes app on your phone and make a note of the places where you love your work most, or where your people are seeming to respond to you. Become this detective. Don't forget to look at your testimonials or your customer feedback. See if you can't find some clues in terms of what it is that people are really loving and resonating, what you're loving and resonating, and help you guide you towards the deliberate business that you really want to create. I hope this video helped you, and if you want to keep following along, then click the subscribe button and the bell. Did it resonate? Did it make sense? Did it not make sense? Please leave your comments or results or questions in the comments.